Please be seated. Honorable members, before we start proceedings, I wish to indicate that we are aware of the situation at the gates where vehicles are not coming into the precincts of Parliament. The matter is currently being addressed, and we will ensure that when the proceedings are completed, that members will be able, those who managed to get in earlier will be able to leave. The Secretary will now read the order.
Ministerial.
Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 40.
I wanted to talk to you about your announcement.
Sport and Recreation South Africa Appropriation Bill.
Honorable Fultane,
Uh,
as a rule that you can only speak when you are recognized. You can't also sit in your seat and switch on the mic and address me. What is your point of order? Because the order is now only being read.
My apologies, sir. What happens now with the parking fees that we're going to collect today, since we parked in the street?
Take your seat, honorable member. You are irrelevant with that remark. Honorable members, let us start this debate, and I wish to call on the Minister of Sport and Recreation to introduce his budget vote.
We are firm chairperson in our resolve of leveraging sport as a catalyst to execute on the 9-point plan critical to growing and transforming the economy, creating jobs and attracting investment as outlined by President Zuma. Honorable members, join me in welcoming and congratulating the MECs of Sport and Recreation, Arts and Culture from all provinces. Join me in welcoming all sports personalities in the gallery, together with the leadership of SASCOC, led by the President of SASCOC and all dignitaries present. Join me in congratulating Mamelodi Sundowns Kabuyelo for winning the championship of the PSL in South Africa. Our department is indefatigably soldiering on by designing innovative mechanisms and conceptualizing finding models to ensure that the strategic goals of optimizing citizens' access to sport and recreation, transformation of the sector, and supporting athletes to achieve international success are not compromised. Key to these implementation mechanisms are partnerships with provincial and local spheres of government and other national government departments, particularly the signatories to Outcome 14 Delivery Agreement. Sport is a site for intense struggles. The total budget allocation for National Department of Sports and Recreation in South Africa for 2016-2017 financial year stands at 1,028 million, having gone up only by 48.1 million from the previous year allocation of 979.4 million. We are proud about these developments. Since the first broadcast in June to date, the program of boxing has been viewed by over 1.3 million households. Some of the key success include the opportunity for revenue generation for boxing South Africa and opportunities for upcoming promoters. I've allocated an additional 11 million for boxing South Africa, budgeted for 2016-2017 financial year. Building on the inaugural recognition of Women in Sport program hosted during Government's Women's Month program in 2014 to honor the role of women in sport. We hosted a similar event in August 2015. In keeping with Government 2015 theme, Women United in Moving South Africa Forward. The overarching objective of this prestigious program is to encourage women participation and to highlight and celebrate the role which women play across entire value chain of sport. Our intention is to place women in sport on the same pedestal as women in other sectors and strata of society as the entire nation celebrate their achievement during the month of August. Ladies and gentlemen, there is neither contradiction nor Chinese wall between access or quality of opportunity and excellence. Instead, the two are mutually reinforcing each other and dialectically interconnected. The achievement of two consecutive clean audits reports by the Department of Sport and Recreation is testimony to this progressive thinking and never die attitude to debunk the stereotype of African governments. This is quality of opportunity, excellence epitomized. Keep up the good work, Department of Sports. Let us continue making meaningful changes in the lives of our people beyond counting rands and cents. It is our mission to safeguard sports, as it is equally our preoccupation to place the interests of athletes at the center of our development and excellence programs. To this end, we continue funding the qualifying national federations according to the recognized sport bodies grant framework. Funding is provided across 2 tiers: guaranteed funding fundamentally for administration, and conditional funding, which constitute the bulk of the funding that addresses governance, transformation, and performance. We have allocated an amount of 113.3 million for transfers to national federations in this financial year. We are putting our money where our mouth is. The total allocation for athlete support program and the promotion of elite athletes is 91.1 million, having gone up by 15.1 million from the previous year allocation of 76 million. In spite of budget cuts, we are allocating a total of 137.6 million, having gone down by 10.9 million from the previous year allocation of 148.5 million. This allocation is earmarked for the development of an integrated support system to enhance the delivery of sport. In keeping with our commitment to support the sector, enhancing provisioning of strategic leadership, management, and support services, we are making an allocation of 134.9 million, having gone up by 15 million from the previous year allocation of 119.9 million. This will see the heightened political work and support being provided to the national federations and the support sector as a whole by the ministry and senior leadership of the department. We will provide support to 40 athletes to enable them break the barrier to access the SASCOC High Performance Program, aptly entitled Operation Excellence. SASCOC will prepare Team South Africa in collaboration with our national federations to participate in the 2016 Rio Olympic and Paralympic Games, beginning in August. In this regard, SASCOC will receive its allocation of 8 million, as well as an additional allocation for advanced preparation for targeted athletes who have good medal potential in Brazil, based on the assessments of the training and preparatory needs over and above the support provided through the various sporting federations for financial preparations. As government, we are doing everything in our power to ensure that our athletes fly the South African flag high and collect medals that will put smiles on the faces of this sporting-loving nation. In this regard, we have set a target of 8 medals for SASCOC in the 2016 edition of the Olympic Games, up from the medal tally achieved in London. I'm delighted to announce hockey as the National Federation of the Year in 2016, as a result of the federation's new status. Hockey will receive a substantial additional allocation of 10 million, as well as further support to assist it improve and professionalize its operation. A new Hockey Premier League will be launched as a result of this work, consistent with our commitment to professionalize sport in our country beyond only the major codes. This record of sport delivery is unprecedented. It is contrary to the propaganda of our detractors who project us as a stick-wielding government, hell-bent on punishing the federations without any incentives. Nothing can be further from the truth. Honorable members, during our budget vote debate in the preceding year, we signaled our intention to undertake broader sport facilities audit project. I'm proud to announce that we have completed the first phase of the facilities account. This count provides us with baseline of facilities information that enables us in decision-making regarding facilities provision. The project will be expanded in 2016-17 to ensure that more detailed information about the facilities is sourced. The Sport Facilities Audit Project is aimed at assisting government to provide sport facilities where they are needed the most. The Sport Infrastructure Support Program has a budget allocation of 16.3 million in 2016-17. Therefore, for the first time, the total allocation for Program 5 stands at 16.3 million. I'm overjoyed to announce that after a long protracted struggle, we succeeded in convincing both the National Treasury and the Department of Cooperative Governance to allocate and set aside an amount of 300 million rands from municipal infrastructure grant funds outside of the formula in 2016-17 financial year for refurbishment and building of facilities. This will be a pilot project. This will be a pilot project, will demonstrate to the National Treasury that pulling together of resources was the best methodology to address the following: facilities backlog, ensure benefits, resolve imbalances, ensure compliance, lastly resolve the maintenance cares facing smaller municipalities. The implementation of this pilot project is already underway with our department working in collaboration with the National Treasury, the Department of COCTA, and the relevant local authorities. The rollout of facilities and refurbishment work, apart from contributing to increased access and active lifestyles, have a positive impact on employment at the local spheres of government and communities. Chairperson, asidlali, we mean business. 40% of our conditional grant is allocated to the National School Sport Program, as demonstrated of our seriousness to bolster the National School Sport Program because it is the bedrock of sport development trajectory. School sport remains a core deliverable for SRSA 2016-17. The department remains committed to maximizing access to sport, recreation, and physical activity in every school in South Africa. We are looking at immediate interventions to ensure functionality of the program in all schools. This program will remain the flagship program in the department, with the focus being devoted to the school leagues, which will culminate in the National School Sport Championship. As of the beginning of 2016, we now have 3 championship seasons, namely autumn, winter, and summer. The autumn season has been the hosting of athletics for primary and for secondary school in March this year. Support is provided to sports coaches outreach, which is called SCORE, to sustain coaching programs for the sport and recreation sector 2016-2017. Resources will be provided to train 5,000 coaches. This will boost the capacity of the sector to deliver quality programs, especially needed to strengthen school sport. Chairperson, since I made the announcement of the EPG on transformation in sport South Africa and the announcement of the transformation barometer on the 25th April 2016, I've been denigrated, insulted, and called with K-word by some white supremacists. Without wasting yours and my valuable time, I'm eagerly awaiting the Human Rights Commission ruling on this non-sweating and blatant racism. For us, there is no turning back on transformation, and I'm forging ahead with the penalties imposed on athletics, cricket, netball, rugby, netball, based on their failure to meet their own set targets. I will never retreat on that. I have signed a memorandum of agreement with each of the aforementioned federations, and I expect them to act on their commitments. I will be signing memorandum of agreements with the 14 federations that were part of the 2015-16 transformation audit report. I also expect them to set their own targets against which we will measure their performance on an annual basis. In sport today, you must either shape up or shape out. I welcome SASCO's intended intervention to assist the various codes to meet their transformation targets. Much as we accept and welcome the strides made within the sports movement towards unity and democratization, we stand here to reject and rise in protest against the existing dual sports system, one characterized by a handful of sporting codes that play and thrive in the first economy, on the one hand, and the other of sporting codes perpetually playing in the second economy and struggling to break the apartheid iron grip. This is the historical injustice we must fight tooth and nail and destroy brick by brick as we lay the ghost of Verwoerd to rest. Chairperson, transformation is non-negotiable. As we emerge from the celebration of Freedom Month, we must acknowledge that our journey to freedom in South Africa has seen us navigating countless contours and climbing many mountains. There are still many rivers to cross and numerous mountains to climb. In our task to address the historical imbalances and leveling the playing field, as I have dedicated that we ourselves assist with the implementation of the EPG report on grassroots development, challenges within our school sport and club delivery system. We have mobilized the whole government machinery to work in unison so that we deliver on our part. That is the integral thread that runs through my speech this morning. Asidlali, we mean business. 648.7 million of this budget has been allocated towards the provision of mass participation, opportunities, and recreation under the banner of our Active Nation program. In practical terms, this means that 66% of our entire budget is channeled towards our development. This prioritization is not by coincidence or some miracle of nature. It is a deliberate and principled stance informed by our commitment that it is only through optimal investment towards development that we will truly achieve transformation in sport. Honorable members, Cabinet declared an annual National Recreation Day for the first Friday of October each year. The 2016 National Recreation Day campaign will be expanded to corporate South Africa tertiary institutions and communities at large. The Golden Games, abazali bethu, our oldies, will continue in October 2016 in partnership with the Department of Social Development. Approximately 3,000 youth representing diverse cultural groupings attended the National Youth Camps each year, and the profile of the National Youth Camp will be elevated with targeted marketing campaigns. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of reintroducing excitement and encouraging participation in sport and recreation, and also provide local entrepreneurs opportunities that can boost local economies, the department will introduce a program aptly named the Sports Bars in 2016 financial year. The program entails 12 retrofitted combis that will have a presence in all provinces with the intention of promoting sports, active, healthy lifestyles. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 days ago, we launched our rural sport development program in Amtata, in the Eastern Cape. The program is an offshoot of a collaborative effort between relevant national government departments, South African Local Government Association, National House of Traditional Leaders, the Sport Federation, sport academies, academic institutions in close proximity to the targeted areas, as well as corporate institutions. Bantu abasemakhaya kwindawo ngendawo eMzantsi Afrika asidlali siyaqhuba sifikile ke ngoku. We are building a solid pipeline by growing and nurturing athletes who demonstrate potential and talent in the deep rural areas. We are doing it for ourselves. The scientific support program expenditure focuses on support to athletes and coaches. Through a sports science program partnership with selected schools, high performance centers, our team is also responsible for managing the Ministerial Sport Bursary Scheme. In this financial year, the potential new recruits who were identified during 2015 National Sports Championships will be immediately placed into the Ministerial Sports Bursary Program. This is to ensure that the recruits who finally enter the program are those who have the necessary endurance and talent to see them through the elite level of participation. The potential recruits will undergo various tests at the National Training Center as a last phase of qualification for placement into the program. The sub-program, together with the relevant province sports hub schools, will work collaboratively to develop talented athletes. As part of our job creation program, we will this year launch the sports outreach program for unemployed graduates who are qualified in sports science or sports management to run sports programs in schools. Through this program, we will recruit unemployed graduates that are based in the rural communities of the Free State, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, Northern Cape, Northwest Province. 100 unemployed graduates will be recruited, trained and placed within selected districts during the first part of 2016-17 financial year. At the national level, SRSA will lobby to have current EPW initiatives of provincial departments of sports and recreation more closely aligned to the objectives of the National Sports and Recreation Plan, as well as the National Development Plan. Honorable members, I would like to thank the Deputy Minister, Gert Oosthuizen, for his support over the years. A word of profound appreciation goes to the Director General of Sports, Mr. Alec Muyemi, and his team for their sterling work and placing our department in the front line of service delivery. Thank you very much for your attention. Asidlali, we mean business.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Glulane.
Thank you, Chairperson. Manibulise kule ndlu yowisomthetho. Ndiqale ngawe mhlonishwa Tata uMbalula nesekela lakho. Ndibulise kwizivakashi nabatyeleli bethu namhlanje. Siyanibona niphume ngendlu yenu. Ndibulise kubahlonitshwa abathe basuka emaphondweni bazozimasa le mini yanamhlanje. Malibonke igama lamakhosikazi. As we jointly celebrate the 20 years since the signing into law of our constitution, which was done on the 10th December 1996 in Sharpeville, this is a very important milestone as the people of South Africa had declared, amongst many things, that South Africa belongs to all live in it, black and white. It is a moment with which we remember that sacrifices that the people of South Africa and the world made to ensure that that which is a painful past is never forgotten and that it becomes a part of our national heritage. Chairperson, our country will never forget the words of our first democratically elected president, Tate Nelson Mandela, during his inauguration in May 1994, when he said that, I'm open, God, never, never and never again shall it be that beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another and suffer the indignity of being the skunk of the world. I thank you. Chairperson, allow me to congratulate the Department of achieving a clean audit of outcome for the second year in a row, a serious signal that this is a reliable and socially dependable department with taxpayers' money. This board is for a department that receives less budget and is able to use it efficiently and can account for every cent spent. We wish to congratulate you, Minister, and your team for such a good work. Siyaqhuba, DG. Secondly, we wish to congratulate the newly appointed Springbok coach, Mr. Alex Kutsi, and his assistant, Saru, his assistant by Saru, a progressive movement indeed, Saru, siyabonga, qhubani nani. Obviously, we expect this coach to receive a same kind of support that was given to his predecessors and be given sufficient time.
Honorable Zulani, can you just hold there?
Order, Chair.
Yes,
Could
what's
you
your point
please
of order,
inform
honourable
members of the gallery not to participate?
Honorable member, no. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. May I request, and we welcome the guests in the gallery, but you are not supposed to participate in proceedings, as the honorable member from the DA has now raised. Continue, honorable member.
In the same vein, we wish to reiterate the statement made by our minister on the release EPG outcome. We are not happy with the snail pace of transformation, especially on the mentioned federations by EPG report. We want to emphasize that we are going to monitor and apply rigorous oversight on the issue of transformation. Indeed, South Africa continues to be a beacon of hope to many people in the continent and across the globe. Indeed, the racial incidents that took place at the beginning of the year and this week through social media are a painful reminder of our divided past and an indication of how much more still needs to be done to transform our society. Chairperson, we are not apologetic when we say transformation is non-negotiable. How to realize our goals in the vexing question informed by our separate ideologically endpoints. For the ANC, the state must intervene to ease the burden of deprivation. We must redress the ills imposed on the present by our past. In the school sport, compatriots, School Sport is a flagship program under the Active Nation program of the department. The department has therefore invested 64% of its budget for Active Nation program. Will this translate into 2.1 billion over the MTEF? It is important to note that School Sport will receive 40% of the allocated mass participation grant. The National Development Plan clearly states that sport and physical education are integral part of child's development. We are hard at work, asimanga siyaqhuba. The broader the base of talent pool, the stronger the apex of the development triangle. Together with our partners, we'll endeavor to intensify the identification and nurturing of the talent. High-performance centers, academies, and scientists will play a big role there. Fellow South Africans, both the 50th and 52nd National Conference of the ANC, especially on social transformation, noted that the misallocation of sport and recreation facilities in South African society constitutes one of the cruelest legacy of apartheid. The discrepancies in the provision of physical, financial, and human resource in sport and recreation between disadvantaged and privileged communities continue to prevail, and that this continues to inhibit the development and access of sport in these communities. With very few exceptions, South African representatives' team do not reflect the racial demographics of society. South Africans, athletes, and teams are likely to achieve greater successes if the pool from which they are drawn constitutes 100% of the population rather than 20% from which they are presently drawn. The ANC-led government progressively attended to all of these, although we still believe that much more still need to be done. Asimanga siyaqhuba. We are guided by concrete policy proposition on the table than just howling. Without any strategic policy proposition from those who oppose to the national democratic mass movement. Lento yenziwa ngabantu, lento ngelixesha lobandlululo, ayizange izenzekele. Njengoba sesithukwa nje xa siyilungisa. After the EPG report, we have heard some saying that they are embarrassed to be South Africans, and you wish to say South Africa is embarrassed to have you too, simply because you don't like the findings and actions of our minister. Qhuba Mbaksi, qhuba. Siyayixhasa intetho yakho mphathisa emva kweziphumo ze-EPG report. Ngelakhi nangenhlahla ikomiti ibindivumela uba mandiye pha ndakumamela ndakuva. Siyayixhasa ngoba bekuvunyelwene ngayo yonke lento. Asazi kutheni abanye bazothusa ngoku as if bayaqhutyelwa. Siza kuba liliso elibanzi, sibe kwalizinyo liqaqamba, sifaka isabhoko apho simele ukusifaka khona. Transformation. Fellow South Africa, we need to ensure that we consolidate the gains made over the last 22 years and confront the challenges with much more vigor and zeal. It is important to ensure that many people who are still not able to access sport and recreation opportunities are assisted. Mhlonishwa ndikuvile andizuba saziphinda ifigures ozithe thaca apha bendizilungisilele ndicinga uba uzawusilibala ukusixelela. Hayi siyazamkela sizipresentelwe ekomitini ngulotata uthe makadrive nawe la department. Budget as a tool to finance key policy objective. It is worth noting that during 2016 to 17 financial year, SRSA has been allocated 1.28 billion, up from 979 million that was allocated in the 2015-2016 financial year. The allocation has been divided, such that 73.2% of the budget will be spent on transfers and subsidies to provinces and municipalities, departmental entities and NGOs such as Love Life and the Sport Trust, including National Federation. National Federation, look, will do oversight on what I'm saying on. access to sport and recreation is very key towards the realization of the NDP and SRP, and provision of sport facility in this regard is central to that idea. The Portfolio Committee is encouraged by the National Treasury to consider the transfer of the sport infrastructure grant allocation to control of the department. This would allow for the proper coordination and control of the development of sport funds by the department. This is a milestone for the department. Indeed, we look forward to a full allocation of grant to the control. We cannot reduce and not to tell you, Minister, that you are happy, but you know, Minister and DG and Deputy Minister, that we want the totally ring-fence. DG, we do accept that 300 million will accept, we cannot reject, but you have a capacity to get the whole 15% of MIC, because in the MIC in our municipality, they use only 4% when we're doing oversight. We've seen that, we've experienced that. Through this National School Sport Championship, 60 learners were identified for ministerial sport bursary. 6 had to be dropped on the basis of malpractice by the coaches and managers. When Zandona Posaskok, 54 learners are remaining in the program and are supported. Siabulela Minister Uyaqhuba. SRSA has installed 40 multi-purpose courts for schools in different schools across the country. Sport Trust has installed 24 of these courts as part of provision to enable, to enhance, to participate in sport in school. Building sport facility. Chairperson, the lack of proper sport facility has been a barrier to entry for many young people who live in rural areas, and in some areas, the degenerated facilities have limited participation in sport. To alleviate the problem, we welcome a plan to build 30 main infrastructure projects which have been identified for 2016 to 2017 financial year. As was saying, these facilities will be built through the use of that 300 million allocation per quarter. This is a portion of the 15% P component of the MIC that National Treasury has been made available for SRSA to use through COGTA. We wish to emphasize that whilst we have accepted the arrangement that the National Treasury has done to ring fence a portion of 15% MIC, we still believe that Department of Sport and Recreation with capable leaders can perform better once the whole allocation is given to them to administer. We have a capable minister and capable department who want that entire 15%. The oversight visits we have conducted has shown that municipalities have only been able to spend only 4% of their MIC allocation, thus leaving communities with no sport facilities. The task of building sports facilities has been progressing at a very slow pace. Chairperson, we're encouraged by efforts of the Minister through the Ministerial Outreach Program to lead the sport facilities initiatives by installing multi-purpose courts and provision of school sport and entire to school in rural areas. This is way of strengthening the school sport. The high performance with sport, this is the Olympic year, Datu Gideon Sam, and the team South Africa will be participating in the 2016 Rio Olympics Games, where we expect excellence from all our athletes. The team will be led by Saskok. We are sure looking forward to an improved performance from 6 medals we'll receive in London 2012. Resources are necessary to ensure that Team South Africa is delivered. Mamelaman, SRSA, and Saskok will have to work around the clock to ensure that service level agreements are signed. An allocation of 29.5 million over the MTEF period has been set aside for Saskok, which Team South Africa a successful participation in Rio Olympics. Boxing South Africa. Chairperson, I'm proud to stand here today to congratulate Boxing South Africa, bringing back boxing back to our TV screen. There are some improvements. We look forward to more of that, these goods. It's because of your leadership, Minister, and your team. welcome the intervention by Minister and Boxing South Africa to help resolve the dispute of Eastern Cape promoters. We hope that newly established joint committee of both provincial structures will help address the concern raised. Eastern Cape players are very important role in the development of boxers in the country. It is therefore our concern that a prolonged dispute will serve nothing but harm such as historically leakers created. SRS has set aside 11 million for Boxing South Africa for the 2016-17 financial. Boxing South Africa is expected to deliver its mandate through its main sub-program, such as governance and administration, boxing development, and boxing promotion. We do have challenges ahead and implications for sport compatriots. Since the adoption of the NSRP in May 2012, SRSA has achieved only 23% of the NSRP strategic objectives and indicated that a further 40% has been achieved partially. We know that slow progress implementing in this in full has been attributed largely to the unavailable of funds. We must tell you that this plan, which is so good, is unfunded plan. In conclusion, we are confident that through this budget, the department will strive to do more to address the policy directives and contained in the NSRP. School sport needs the support of all stakeholders, and hope that in the current financial and as the MO between SRSA and DBE is reviewed, can reflect boldly on the necessary actions needed to be taken for the full implementation of school sport. Our agenda to see a transformed sport landscape can never be negotiated and compromised by anything. Transformation does not only refer to change in demographics, but also goes to the biasness in the allocation of resources, procurement of goods and services
Honourable
in the
Member,
sector.
your time is now expired.
I-ANC iyayisapota le budget. Enkosi.
The next speaker is the Honourable Bergman.
Yeah. Politicians, officials, and guests. The DA wants all young South Africans, regardless of the circumstance of their birth, to be able to become a provincial or national sportsman. Many careers never made it because of the terrible legacy of the past. Our record and our written inputs on transformation will speak for itself. The DA are the most faithful supporters of transformation in sports. We share the vision of the father of our nation, Madiba, that sports can unite. Our vision as the DA is to see that sports in our country become successful locally and internationally, not because of government interference, but because of government support. When the transformation policy was brought to our committee, backed by the minister, I warned that this was not a transformation policy, but a lazy quota system. Yeah, during the last Super Rugby weekend, we saw our SA team suffer unprecedented losses in the current competition. Could this have been attributed to our minister's press conference and Twitter rants? It wouldn't be the first time, of course, that players are verbally abused by the minister. Players that stay and play in this country, regardless of their color or their gender, that are not lured by the lucrative contracts offered overseas, are committed to playing and striving for the ultimate prize of playing for their country. Surely they deserve a level of respect too. Let me make it clear today, because I know that members from the other side will try accuse the DA of racism and anti-transformation, because that is clearly the theme that they've tried to run in all other EPC debates with scant regard for the real issues at hand. Before blaming everyone else, we need to ensure that as a government, we have played our part in transformation too. As a government, we must provide an enabling environment by ensuring that sports is sustainable. For a sport to be truly sustainable, it needs three critical outputs. It has to be profitable and have secure funding. It has to have a pool of talent that continues to grow, and it needs support. A budget serious on transformation would require an estimated 10 billion rand over 3 years to effect full delivery. We don't get anywhere near that figure. When our most important item in the budget only increases by 1.7%, then the good story that we always try to sell is not a good story at all. It is just a story. We want sporting codes to be fully transformed, but they are handicapped before they even begin by the fact that around the country, the schools that are fortunate enough to have playing fields have a ratio of 1 rugby field for every 3 soccer fields, for every school that has soccer fields. The figure is worse for cricket. The amount of players being drawn to soccer in their formative years far exceed that of any of the penalized codes by nature of the resources provided. Therefore, to blame the unions on transformation and not take responsibility as a government is hypocritical. Apartheid can never and must never be forgotten. We must learn from these atrocities so that we can never make that mistake again. This evil system created a massive inequality vacuum. However, 21 years down the line, there is a point where government needs to concede that current transformation failures are also as a result of a lack of current service delivery. Indeed, transformation must take place. It must take place swiftly and it must be sustainable. We must protect our players by ensuring that any player that takes to the field in the international arena is secure in the comfort that they are there on merit. Transformation must not just focus on players, but also sponsorship and support. During a live rugby match, the stadiums are usually filled with more than 80% white supporters. At public schools, the participation is skewed again. We as a committee need to ensure that we create the equal playing fields and that we provide the platform for mass participation. Unions can play a part too by hosting matches nearer communities that are disadvantaged by transport and proximity to increase the attraction to sports. I'm surprised at the careless reaction by the Minister on the EPG report. He and members of the Sports Committee backed the introduction of the transformation policy, and therefore they should be ecstatic with the report back that we were given a year later. They reached most of the targets that they had set. The World Cup Rugby tournament is a profitable and viable proposition for this country. To ban the union from taking up this window of opportunity is to score an own goal. Minister, we urge you to be tough on transformation by ensuring that it takes place and that it is sustainable. However, somersaulting from
Honourable Member, your
supportive
time has expired.
to abusive and back is inconsistent and confusing. Let government build these
Honourable
foundations
Member, your
and
time
let
has
sports
expired.
build our nation.
The next speaker is the Honourable Sitole. Yes, Honourable Member. Order.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, during the debate, I didn't want to interrupt my colleague, but the honourable member over there in the purple dress and the manana made this gesture to me, not once, but several times, Chairperson. Now,
Order.
Chairperson, perhaps they're being influenced by the EFF's call to
No, you don't need to
violence.
explain further,
But I
Honourable
would
Member.
ask that member desist from making these
Thank you,
kinds
Honourable
of
Member.
signs. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honourable Member, let us not show these gestures to one another. Unfortunately, Honourable Member, you can't withdraw that gesture. But please desist from doing so. Continue, Honourable Member.
Honourable Chairperson, transformation in sport has been an issue of ongoing contention since our transition to democracy in 1994. Initially, it was agreed that a quota system should be implemented which would assist in speeding up this process by providing previously disadvantaged black sportsmen and women with opportunities so that to bridge the divide that created under apartheid. 20 years on, and transformation is still lack because it is not being addressed from the ground upward, rather than a top-down approach. All we are witnessing today is apartheid in reverse. When what we should be seeing is the implementation of platforms and infrastructure that promote nature and develop junior sport level throughout the countries. Sporting academies all over South Africa should be the norm and not the exception. This would transform sport in South Africa, This will make sport truly representative. If we can identify and nurture sport talent from a young age, sport transformation will be naturally occurred. But this entails a commitment from the department to ensure that sport facilities, equipment, and coaches are available and accessible throughout the country, and especially in our schools. In both rural and urban areas, sport-focused motors must receive greater capacitations. Honorable Chairperson, if the Department of Sport and Recreation and Transport of Basic Education fail to implement the sporting code in our schools, how do we expect to see a real transformation, especially in our rural areas? Withdrawing funding from major sport body will not magically transform sport in South Africa, Honorable Minister. It will only hurt it. Your punitive measures are ill-advised and immiscible in apartheid style in thinking. The IFP urged you seriously reconsider this position in interest of South Africa sports. South Africa is home to great sport talent. In Johannesburg, there is a boxing club called Golden Gloves, which has been in operation since 1977. This club has nurtured and developed world-class black boxers, yet they cannot get departmental assistance from equipment that they desperately required. I have written to the Minister in this regard last year already, and not date, I have not courtesy of respond. Do you intend to respond to me any time soon, Honorable Minister? Ngicela ungqongqoshe wezemidlalo nokungcebeleka ehle kuleli hashi aligibele liphezulu kakhulu lizokuwisa. Ezemidlalo zidinga ungqongqoshe ongaqaqamuki kodwa olalelayo. Leli bhanoyi oligibele lizokuphahlaza ubadinge labantu
Order, honorable members.
Honorable Minister, ngendlela izinto esizicela ngakhona zingenzeki ziphathana kabuhlungu ngoba abantu phansi kuma constituency la sebenza khona basinikeza information isilethe department ingabuyi kithi. Ngaleyo ndlela kodwa inkatha yexhasa le budget ngiyathokoza.
Thank you, Honorable Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I made a ruling in terms of gestures. Honorable Khadebe, I'm busy addressing the House. I made a ruling in terms of gestures, and there's still members who are making these gestures. Please read Rule 51. Please read Rule 51, and let us not fall foul of the rulings that are made in the House. The Honorable Mbika.
Thanks, Honorable House Chair. A total allocation of 1.028.6 billion has been made available for the Department of Sports South Africa during 2016 to 2017, and this will increase to 1.075 billion in the 2017-2018 financial year. Considering the vital role that sports has to play as an instrument of social cohesion, the National Freedom Party believes that the funds allocated is not enough. In addition to insufficient funds, we are concerned about the negative impact on sports development as a result of ongoing SAFA internal leadership disputes. Here we refer to example of disputes raging between SAFA in Durban region and SAFA over organizing soccer in schools are taking very long to be resolved, and well as the boxing dispute which continue to bedevil this sporting code in the Eastern Cape in particular. The National Freedom Party also notes that only 6 million has been allocated for preparation to host the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Durban. It is estimated that 6.9 billion will be required to host the event, excluding infrastructure, yet neither the department nor KwaZulu-Natal provincial government has given any indication how funds will be made available over the medium term. In the face of austerity measures driving government spending, the NFP would like to know where the money to host the Commonwealth Games will come from. We do actually have the resources, and can the minister give us an actual I'm sorry. Do we actually have the resources, and can the minister give us a clear indication when this will be budgeted for, and most importantly, can the minister guarantee that South Africa will be in a position financially to host the Games in 2022? Another concern we have is the recent decision of the minister to call a halt to several of sports federations to bid for or host international sports events. The National Freedom Party is in favor of transformation, and we agree that process must be accelerated. However, it is also the mandate of the department to give effect to outcome 14 of the National Development Plan, for the sport to contribute in promoting social cohesion throughout society. The decision has caused racial polarization, which we trust was not the intention of the minister. The NFP believes that the minister could have approached the issue of transformation with more circumspect, being aware of the potential for social discord which could follow. It is good and well to wave a big threatening stick at our sport federations, but we have to ask, what has the Department of Sport and Recreation done to develop sports infrastructure at school and community levels? It is at school and community level where potential talent is identified and nurtured, providing pool for professional bodies from which to develop promising talent. One cannot build a brick wall with only cement and no bricks. By failing to bring about meaningful change and infrastructure development at school and community levels, our children are being denied a chance of developing their talents, and our professional bodies are denied access to a pool of talent from which to select those future sportsmen and women who are worthy of support.
Honourable Member, your time is now expired.
We say to the minister, stop threatening organized sport and get the department geared up for meaningful sport
Honourable Member, your time has
infrastructure
expired.
development at schools and community levels. Thank you.
Thank you.
We support the budget, though.
The next speaker is the Honourable the Deputy Minister of Sport and Recreation.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister. We are with you at IDEM that the transformation of sport is not negotiable, and in fact we are sometimes surprised to see that some individuals resort to levels which we can never condemn in this country, and we are looking forward to the interventions of the Human Rights Commission to deal with those individuals who are saying things that are not befitting if you take into account the notion of reconciliation that we have started in our country. Honourable members, the Ministry of Sport and Recreation in this country delivers the 2016 budget at the time when the World Health Organization is releasing alarming statistics regarding the growing inactivity of humankind all over the globe, including our country. This growing phenomenon of inactivity has serious consequences for all countries. In fact, the economic costs are unaffordable and the human costs are unforgivable. This cannot be allowed to continue unabated, not on our much watch, Minister. Research is revealing that physical inactivity is draining already strained economies. In 6 countries, China, India, United Kingdom, United States of America, Russia, and Brazil, the cost of physical inactivity is estimated to have been more than $218 billion in the year 2008. By 2030, the direct costs alone in mainland China and India will each increase by more than 450%. To put these increases into context, the 2030 annual direct costs are expected to be more than mainland China's current healthcare budget and nearly 4 times what India currently spends on secondary education each year. For an element that can be avoidable, this is certainly alarming, honourable members. For as distressing as the economic costs are, the human costs are very tragic. A recent study estimates that 9% of all premature deaths worldwide are attributed to physical inactivity. This is unacceptable costs entirely preventable. Against this disquieting backdrop, our department is compelled to do everything possible to fulfill our vision of an active nation, not only for health reasons, but also to maximize the impact of sport on economic growth, on peacekeeping and peace building, and most importantly, social cohesion and nation building. We have to ensure dignity, equality, and mutual respect for all women and men in our country. To this end, the planning processes carried out by our department have a vital role to play in bringing the vision and proposals contained in the National Development Plan to fruition. Outcome 14 of Government's Programme of Action, where sport and recreation feature prominently, acknowledges that despite progress since 1994, South African society remains divided. The privilege attached to race, class, space and gender has not yet been fully reversed. Attitudinal, physical and communication barriers continue to exclude human and marginalized persons with disabilities. As a delivery partner of Outcome 14, our department will continue to offer opportunities for communities to participate in sport and recreation events such as Unite and foster social cohesion. Unification will be pursued through the existing social cohesion campaigns of our department, such as the Unite campaign. It will be done in partnership with the Department of Arts and Culture and other social partners. In our view, the Nelson Mandela Sports and Culture Day contribute towards a meaningful non-racial cohesion program, rallying all South Africans. Our department is further committed to deliver in this financial year 1.3 million people actively participating in organized sport and active recreation events, thereby sharing common spaces. We will have 5 sport and recreation promotional campaigns that will be implemented. 2,500 schools and hubs and clubs will be provided with equipment and attire to assist in their transformation. 60 sport and recreation bodies will receive financial and non-financial support in an effort to assist them in meeting their transformation targets. We will have 7,500 participants in the National School Sport Championships this year. We aim to have 3,400 athletes supported by the sports academies and to have 80 athletes supported through the scientific support program. In short, we are promoting full and equal access to quality sport and recreation for all our people. Other events planned for this year include the National Youth Camp, Move for Health Day, the Golden Games, the Big Walk, Annual National Recreation Day, the Indigenous Games Festival, Rural Sports Development Program, and the Andrew Mhlangeni Golf Development Day. It's envisaged that these initiatives, implemented and fully funded in this financial year, will directly address the strategic intent of the National Development Plan and contributes towards a society where South Africans will be more conscious of the things they have in common. The sharing of common space, as pronounced in the National Development Plan, will be enabled by improving public spaces and services, elevating sport at both community and school levels. As recommended in the National Sport and Recreation Plan, our department will explore the potential of the private sector to become more involved in activities aimed at promoting an active nation. With the economic downturn, this has become more difficult. However, sport remains an optimal platform for messaging, so it still bodes very well for negotiations in this regard. Our department will also consider the possibility of partnering with private events aimed at getting the nation active. Here, we are looking at community-based events such as parkruns to promote active recreation. The International Relations sub-program will continue to build and strengthen international bilateral relationships. Sport and recreation development in South Africa will be supported by exchange programs with international partners. The implementation of the agreement signed with Jamaica last year will commence this year. Action will be taken to finalize and sign mutually beneficial agreements with India, Russia, and Australia. The sub-program will maintain its supporting role to enable our department to fulfill its responsibilities on international forums such as the African Union, the United Nations, and UNESCO. South Africa will carry on playing an active role in the African Sports Council Region 5. Our country is represented on the Sports Development Committee, the Women on Sports Committee, and the Committee on Sport for the Disabled. On 24th June this year, we will co-host the first edition of the African Union Sports Council Regional Awards, Sport Awards in Johannesburg. I'm also pleased to report on the important role that the department is playing in the field of sport and recreation within United Nations and UNESCO. As a valued member of the United Nations, our country will have to report on progress in achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations that were adopted by the General Assembly in 2015. Important for the sports sector is the recognition by the United Nations on the important role that this sector can and will have to play in the achievement of the 2030 United Nations Development Goals. Our department contributed to the first revision of the International Charter on Physical Education, Physical Activity and Sport. To this end, it's important that we take note of the content of the revised charter. We have to ensure alignment between the initiatives of UNESCO and sport policies where possible. Considering the common objectives of UNESCO and the International University Sports Federations in fostering quality physical education in university curricula, UNESCO adopted a resolution at the General Conference last year that proclaims 20 September as the International Day of University Sport. The purpose of this day is to promote the contribution of universities to fostering citizenship values through physical education as an essential component of the education and development of human beings. In this regard, our department and the Department of Higher Education will meet to discuss the practical implementation of 20 September as International Day of University Sport. UNESCO members were also called upon to support the International Day of Sport
Point
for
of
the
order,
Development
sir.
of Peace on 6 April.
Honorable Fultane.
Thank you. This honorable member of the ANC will be more comfortable on his bed
Address
rather
me.
than sleeping here.
Honorable Fultane, please, the decorum of the House is important. Let us not play, let us,
Sleeping, sir,
no,
you're sleeping.
Honorable Fultane, let us not play childish games here. We're busy with very serious matters here. Continue, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Chairperson, UNESCO were also called upon to support the
Order,
International
honourable
Day of
members.
Sport, Development and Peace on 6 April.
Order!
Following the endorsement of the United Nations resolution of the 37th General Conference of UNESCO. Posters with key messages on sport for development and peace were developed and distributed by my department as part of the International Awareness Campaign, a campaign which aim is to build peace in the minds of men and women. To this, we fully subscribe. At the plenary session of the Intergovernmental Committee for Physical Education and Sport, known as CEGIPS, in February this year, the report by our department on the progress that we've made with the implementation of the focus areas of the 5th International Conference of Ministers and senior officials responsible for physical education and sport, as well as the International Charter of Physical Education, was well received. In the elections that took place in the plenary, our country was elected chairperson of CEGIPS. It was heartwarming to see the full support our country received from member states on our continent. In follow-up discussions after the meeting, we agreed to explore ways and means to promote the positive role of sport on the development of youth and that of peacekeeping and peace building on our continent. We plan to discuss these matters with the sports structures of the African Union. As chairperson of CEGIPS, South Africa has to play a leading role in the preparations and the development of policy documents for MINEPS 6 that is scheduled to take place in July next year in Kazan, Russia. At this meeting, sport policies will be finalized to contribute, among others, in achieving the post-2015 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. This provides South Africa with the opportunity to impact positively on the development of world sport. In a positive move, our country was elected as one of 4 countries in which a quality physical education program that was developed by UNESCO will be piloted with the Department of Basic Education as the lead agent. Our department is ready to play an important supporting role with the implementation of the project in our country. In our view, collaboration with UNESCO holds many potential advantages for our country, considering the importance of quality physical education in our schools. Our department continues to financially support the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport to ensure that compliance to the World Anti-Doping Agency code is adhered to. To this effect, we will transfer 21.9 million rand this financial year. Particular attention will be given to ensure that SAIDS deliver on the responsibility towards WADA and to coordinate the responsibility of SAIDS towards the Central Drug Authority, as well as, very importantly, oversight of the implementation of the turnaround strategy for the drug testing laboratory we have in Bloemfontein. SAIDS is also intensifying its efforts of conducting awareness campaigns and the testing of learners from schools with a view to prevent and eradicate doping amongst our learners who participate in sport. The Sport Infrastructure Support Program the Minister referred to has a budget of 16.3 million rand. Our department will continue to provide planning and technical assistance to local authorities and other relevant stakeholders for constructing and managing sport facilities to ensure compliance with the national norms and standards. In addition, we will lobby for facilities and will coordinate the provision of sport facilities in the various municipalities and institutions. Considering the substantial financial investment made in building and refurbishing stadia for the 2010 FIFA World Cup, the department will continue to ascertain how these stadia are being maintained and used and will produce an annual status report to this end. Particular attention will be given to the Moses Mabhida precinct, which seemed to have adopted a viable model to make the stadium sustainable. This will serve as a benchmark. To further support the building of local economies and broadening access by providing an enabling environment, Our department will continue to implement sport facility initiatives by installing multi-purpose courts and other sports fields in partnership with the Sports Trust as a way of strengthening local service providers. 10 outdoor gyms were delivered in the first financial year. Another 10 have been prioritized for this financial year, with at least one per province. The intention is to assist local community members as well as athletes in disadvantaged areas to have access to opportunities to train and improve their fitness and health. In an effort to encourage participation, our department continues the delivery of these outdoor gyms to municipalities that can be built in open spaces within communities. The provision of these community gyms will link the community sport project to deliver recreation to the communities. Yesterday, our ministry opened one in Guguletu to the advantage of those people there. The third edition of the Netball Premier League is currently being played. The league is the country's premier national netball tournament aimed at raising the profile of netball. It serves as a catalyst for the promotion and development of netball. It's envisaged that the league would be an anchor in ensuring sustainability of the game as a generator of critically important revenue. The department places special focus on this league as a means to support and empower women in sport. This, in fact, is part of our transformation priorities. The Professional Basketball National League was successfully hosted at the Wembley Arena in Johannesburg last year. The development of the game has advanced in leaps and bounds. The league has not only assisted in professionalizing basketball, but also made it popular in all provinces. In fact, basketball scooped the Federation of the Year award last year at the Sports Awards, so well done to them. Following the successful launch in 2013, the Sports in Struggle exhibition will continue to focus on the forgotten and lesser-known sport heroes and heroines from South Africa's apartheid era. Since the launch, the exhibition has been visited by thousands of our people and people from other parts of the world. The exhibition is becoming a valuable asset and is contributing to the preservation and legacy of South Africa's sports history. It is from exhibitions such as this that we come to see the previous landscape of our sport and recreation. The exhibition motivates all of us to create opportunities that will change the lives of our people for the better. In short, our challenge is to ensure that the starting line is the same for all our children. Honourable members, this National Sports Hall of Fame project will be pursued seriously in 2016. Our position is that the sports heritage and legacy of the country belongs to the people and cannot reside in private hands. Our department will thus partner with the Department of Arts and Culture and SASCOC to establish a sports museum that will host the launch of the 2016 Sports in the Struggle exhibition. We also trust that the private sector will donate heritage and legacy sports assets they may have to the government.
Honourable Deputy Minister, your time is now expired.
What a pity. I've got 1 minute left and I'll finish.
The next speaker is the Honourable Musi.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of the Minister, Fikile Mbalula, the Deputy Minister, Mr. Gert Oosthuizen, all the MEC present here, the DG of the department and the entourage, the Chairperson of the committee, Honorable Beauty Lulani. I greet you all in the spirit of comradeship. Chairperson, the African National Congress support this budget vote. Before, Chairperson, I could start with my debate, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate the good work done by some individuals whose program in the SABC is geared upon the growth of sports in the country. Thomas Mlambo is the host of the Sports at 10, the talk show on SABC 1. I am gradually getting addicted to the show. It is informative and equally entertaining. I want to say to you, brother, that you must keep up the good work. We enjoy your show, you together with your shampooizer and the BBK. Chairperson, I'm not going to bore you with the figures. They have been well presented by the minister here. But I'm tempted, Chairperson, to indicate that a large chunk of this budget, 648.7 million, is for Active Nation, and 60% of the budget for Active Nation is invested towards school sport. This investment is clear indication that the department is serious on the improvement and the implementation of the well-coordinated school sport program. And the key programs of the school sport would include the National School Sport Championship, the National Indigenous Game, and the youth camps. The Department of Sports and Recreation will continue to provide considerably to the development of school sport. The Committee of Sport have visited provinces and it has seen tangible improvement of sports in schools. We have seen that the concept of sport-focused schools is not only developed, but it is being implemented. This program is effectively functioning in some provinces and some regions, and still need to be polished here and there. But Chairperson, let me indicate that we are proud to tell you that the department have successfully partnered with the High Performance Center in provinces, and one such high performance center is the Tax University of the Tax Sport High School, which is already training 2 youngsters, Clarence Munyai and Gift Leotlela. We would like to urge the department not to remove its eyes from these 2 athletes. They have a potential to become best sprinters of the world. Chairperson, we are committed, we as the Committee of Sport, does oversight role to the entities accountable to us. We do meet these entities frequently. We do not grill entities during the engagement. Our relationship with them is cordial, harmonious, and premised from the principle of reciprocity. Recently, we have met with SARU. We did not mince words when we told them that the transformation is slow and it's moving at a snail's pace. We are aware that SARU as the mother body is geared upon transformation. We are at the same time aware of the intransigency of some franchises who do not want to realign the constitution to that one of SARU. But the point is that the intransigency of the members of SARU cannot be our problem. Our chairperson is to demand and to see transformation in all federations, cricket, soccer, athletics, boxing, rugby, etc. Transformation is the key and the buzzwords to us. We want representation on our national team, a true reflection to the demography of the country. The Minister of Sports and Recreation is always accused of speaking about transformation only during sports events. Now that he's acting on the slow pace of transformation, he is being attacked. We believe that it is better to act now than to leave things and hope that they will change on their own. The minister can therefore not be insulted when he exercises power. In fact, the Black nation have been insulted. Chairperson, Matthew Tennyson, you are a dangerous person to be living in this country. You do not belong here. You should actually be living amongst the Ku Klux Klan and not in this rainbow nation. Matthew Tennyson, you are not different from Baron Stradom, who in 1988 embarked on shooting spree, selectively killing our people in Pretoria. He was 23 years of age then. You are not different from Johan Nel, an 18-year-old then, who in the year 2000 went berserk and killed our people in Skidlek, Swartregens. Matthew Tennyson, I don't know what had gotten into your mind, young man. You are just 26 years of age. At least you grew up in a better South Africa. We cannot blame your parents for your behavior, because one thing common to all parents is that we do not teach our children insults. You claim to be having friends across color. I doubt whether that is the case. But Chairperson, in a case he do, I think his friends must be infuriated wherever they are. And I would advise him not to come anywhere near them, otherwise they are going to break his smelly mouth that spits out pungent, rotten utterances. Racist. He's a racist. And Chairperson, he has apologized, and we are not going to accept his apology. I'm not going to accept it for one. Because, Chairperson, it has become a norm that people would insult us and apologize. They pee on top of our heads, apologize. They make us drink their urine, apologize. They call us monkeys, apologize. They call us bobejans, apologize. The Premier of the Western Cape calls us refugees, and she apologizes. We do not need your apology. Chairperson, some of this behavior of these young people are learned from the DA. Because the truth of the matter is that if the Premier of the Western Cape could call us refugees in our country, what would stop Matthew Tennyson to call us with the K word?
Order, honorable members.
Chairperson, the DA does not differ from the United Party. They do not differ from the Progressive Federal Party, from the Progressive Reform Party, or the Democratic Party. They may change names, but the ideology remains the same. Chairperson, let me indicate, in 2013, the leader of the DA, Mr. Tony Leon, advised the members to stay in the future business. In the speech, he was advising his members not to enter into any moral competition with the ANC because the ANC will put the DA into moral shame. This is clearly illustrated in Eddie Maloka's book called Friends of the Natives, and I quote, "There is always the danger if you start reliving the past that a lot of inconvenience will come through." I close the quote. Chairperson, the former DA whip, Watty Watson, may his soul rest in peace, was of the Freemasons' Groundmaster, which is the highest leader in South Africa amongst the Freemasons. The DA claim they are not associated with the Freemasons, and we know that it is not true. The DA chairperson cannot be trusted. The DA chairperson shall continue to confuse our people that they are not racist. Chairperson, I want to believe that that is not true.
Order, honorable member. Order. Honorable member, order.
Chairperson, the Department of Sports and Recreation have been promised 3 million rands by Treasury. Is it the 15% of the P component of MIG, and that amount has been ring-fenced, which the department intends to build 30 facilities. The committee will be monitoring that. We are pleased to have discovered during the oversight that there are schools such as the Dale College in the Eastern Cape, which shares its facilities with the neighboring schools. However, on the contrary, we were saddened that in Hluhluwe KZN, there is a
Honorable member, your time is now expired.
Chairperson, the ANC support this budget.
The next speaker is the Honorable Fultane.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister and Deputy, and honorable members and members of the gallery. Let me speak for sport and not for the misdirected current government of the ANC. The recent decision by the minister to heavily punish the sporting codes who failed to deliver on the transformation agenda demands that we conduct some urgent and deeper analysis of the state of sport in our country. This will have to focus both internally and externally. UDM supports transformation, but not at the expense of socio-economic benefits, which are part of the mandate of the department. First, a collective effort between the three spheres of government and sport development is virtually non-existent. Local government is at the coalface of sporting activity, yet their programs and expenditure on sport does not reflect appreciation of this reality. Some provincial departments have no budget for development of facilities. Instead, they are only managing transfer grants from national. A comprehensive and integrated plan needs to be implemented in this regard. A relationship between this department and both the basic and higher education departments with regard to sport development is not pragmatically expressed to enable faster movement towards transformation. We need a collective approach in addressing this matter, and this must include all stakeholders. Both the schools and community facilities, as primary inputs to a quality development of athletes, are in shambles. And with no sufficient resource allocation to demonstrate the urgency implied in the minister's determination, sport in the meantime suffers. However, the 300 million rands made available by Treasury is most welcome in this regard. Sporting codes that historically excluded the majority of citizens should be given special attention in terms of community advocacy and resourcing. The relationship between sporting bodies and communities has not been symbiotic. Sporting bodies only see communities as sources of ready-made sportsmen. This includes females. Without a clear program as to how these bodies are investing in the production of these sportsmen. This is the same situation with regard to institutions of learning, where the professional bodies go in there just to hunt rather than invest. It is almost parasitical in nature. A collective approach to sport development and transformation would have directed the minister towards a slightly different approach in dealing with the failing sporting codes in the transformation project. Why bring back South Africa's isolation, self-imposed at that, minister? The minister, in appreciation of our critique above, would have considered the following options rather than go for the jugular, giving the code strict timelines within which they should comply. Reduction of the subsidies that these sporting bodies enjoy, involving communities and sponsors in putting pressure on the coast by regularly inviting them to their development initiatives and record progress, then to report to the department of their cooperation. Isolating the country from the sporting global community will have far-reaching negative implications for the nation, because when we integrate, others would have moved far. It also affects sport tourism negatively, demoralizes athletes, and possibly erase our sport colors from the global sporting map. Sports jobs will suffer severely. Who is that? You!
Honorable Filtani, it's not for you to ask. I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Honorable Khatib.
Chair, I just wondering if the
What
honorable
point
member
are you standing on?
can the honorable member take a question?
Honorable Filtani.
Deal with him accordingly. I proceed.
Doesn't want
Deal
to.
with him accordingly. Sports jobs will suffer severely. Chairperson, a lot of resources or money is used for celebrity
Honorable
activity.
Filtani, please hold. Sit a bit. Honorable Mandela.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It cannot be allowed.
What point is it?
The Honorable member seated over there, he's just said to Honorable Khatebe, he cannot address an honorable member in that manner. Can you ask him to
Honorable
withdraw?
member, which honorable member said that? Honorable member, can you please withdraw?
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
in the youth league, we used to be called.
Okay, honorable member, please withdraw.
That's his name.
Honorable member, please withdraw.
I withdraw.
Thank you. Honorable Filtani, please continue. Thank you, Honorable
Chair.
Mandela.
A lot of resources is being used for celebrity activities like attendance by dignitaries to global events, only for them to sit on the stands when such funds could have been used for sports development. Honorable Chair, the UDM questions the wisdom of SASCO funding of the holiday trip by MPs, members of the portfolio committee. It's a holiday trip. They may color it in any way they want to, but it's a holiday trip. We cannot understand why SASCO would go out of its way to look for funds for this. What bribery is taking place here? How will this committee do its job if it's funded by SASCO or anyone under, so whether it's lottery or whether it's SAA, I wouldn't be bothered. SASCO has got no business looking for funding to fund MPs going on a jointing holiday. We will be watching this space. We support the budget and hope that the department will, as it considers many our other views, take into consideration the views that we are raising. Instead, on the other hand, and in closing, Chair, we
Honourable
believe that.
Sorry, your time is.
Thank you very much.
Honourable Albert.
Madam Chair, Minister, about 2 years ago, I was invited to meet with the Minister and the EPG. There they tried to explain how they are about to transform South African rugby and other sports into sport domains where minorities will be barely tolerated. As I listened to them and I tried to argue the irrationality and racism of their plans, I was confronted with an Orwellian coldness. For I knew what I was listening to was the musings and arguments of people cloaking their racism in rational terms. The very same type of rational thoughts that permeated the Soviet Union in its efforts to engineer its society by ridding themselves of the unwanted ones. Now the Minister has stepped up his program of social engineering by blackmailing national sports bodies into submission. As Honourable Sithole indicated, apartheid in reverse. Dit gebeur ten spyte daarvan dat Suid-Afrika 'n grondwetlike demokrasie gebaseer op menseregte is. Hoe op aarde gebeur so iets? Daar is 3 oorwegende beweegredes, naamlik desperaatheid, politieke desperaatheid, ideologie en die kultus van persoonlikheid. Eerstens, die politieke desperaatheid van die ANC is gebore uit die komende verkiesing. Dis 'n feit dat die ANC nie presteer in hulle politieke veldtog nie. Die ANC moet dus desperate spronge maak en gebruik hierdie begroting om te sorg dat hulle die regte geleide maak om die verlies van hulle stembasis te keer. Die ironie is egter dat navorsing tans wys dat die meeste mense in die land meriete in die werksplek en sport eerste stel. Die ANC is dus heeltemal uitvoering met hoe die gewone kiezer dink. Die kiezer wil hê spanne moet wen en daarom moet die beste spelers gekies word. Maak nie saak watter velkleur nie. En die Vryheidsfront Plus ondersteun daardie standpunt ten volle. Maar die ANC wil hê demografie moet seëvier en nie dat die span wen nie. En daarom sien ons dat Bafana een van die swakste sokkerspanne in die wêreld is sonder 'n bruin, wit of Indiër gesig. The second reason arises from the ANC's NDR, whereby all domains of human existence must reflect the country's demographic profile. The irrationality has now reached such a proportion that the national cricket team actually lost the previous World Cup due to the cricket board's interference by using demographic quota, resulting in a field of players not ready due to injuries. This so-called rationality of social engineering is, of course, completely misplaced. You never hear white people in the USA complain that their basketball teams are too black. This is, of course, all very irrational in the eyes of the international sports bodies, and that is why we have just yesterday laid complaints with those bodies against the minister's political meddling. Die derde oorsaak van sport se dilemma lê in die persoonlikheidskultus van die agbare minister. One has to ask yourself, what makes the minister qualified to be the sports minister, and why should there be something at all like the sports ministry? Why do they deserve a budget at all every year? For when you scan South African society, the following images appear. Black children playing soccer in dusty streets in the absence of sports fields. Existing sports fields decimated due to lack of maintenance. Athletes who have to pay their own way to international sports events, while SASCOC finances overweight ANC politicians to travel to Rio de Janeiro. Sports development being financed by the private sector and a large absence of development by the government. So wat is die minister se ware suksesse tot op datum? The minister is quite successful socializing with celebrities. We know he parties with Beyonce and other famous people. We also know that he is so cool that he does not do things Gangnam style. No, he does them Gupta style. The problem is, however, Minister, those celebs in America are all self-made millionaires. In contrast, Minister, you are a minister that's destroying South African sport. But you will be famous one day. Jy gaan bekend wees. Because you will be known as the minister who destroyed sport in South Africa. I thank you.
Honourable Khoza.
Madam Chair, on a point of order, this honourable member just called me a racist. This honourable member just called me a racist, and he must withdraw that.
Order, honorable members. Who said the honorable member is a racist?
This honourable member sitting here right in front of me,
Honourable
making as he
Khatebe.
doesn't know what I'm talking about.
And unfortunately, Chair, I never called Albert a racist.
Honorable,
never called.
is honorable. Honorable Khatebe, we will look at the Hansard and then we'll come back to you. Thank you very much. Honorable Koza, please continue.
The economic freedom fighters reject the budget vote 40 on sports and recreation. The Department of Sports and Recreation is adopting a rigid pedestrian approach sports development in the country. The 2016-17 budget offers no new solutions to the perennial problems of sports development in the country. The department has a total budget of
Order, Chair.
1,028.6 million to spend for the
Honourable
2016-17 financial year. The
Honorable-
department has allocated
Honourable
64%.
Koza. Please hold on. Yes, Honorable Johnson.
A few days ago, the
Honorable members. Honorable Johnson,
a
can we
few
hear
days
you?
ago, Chair, the members of EFF were suspended from the House. Is the member not one of those? Just for record.
Thanks. Let me.
I'm not one of those. I'm saying I'm not those that were suspended.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Khatebe. Honorable members, Honorable Koza is not one of those. It's not all of them that were suspended. There's some. Honorable member.
The department has,
Honorable Koza, please continue.
the department has allocated 64% of its budget towards the Active Nation program, which focuses on providing opportunities for mass participation in sport and recreation. A further 13% has been allocated to sport support, mainly to support national federations. This division of budget allocation between the Active Nation program and the support given to national federations is one of the major faultiness in the manner the country conceptualizes sports development. Firstly, the department, as has been proven over the past 2 decades, has no capacity to directly lead programs of sports development, and it ideally should not be doing this function. This is a duplication of the role meant to be played by national federations, and the department should be channeling funds and providing strategic guidance to federations and to schools to ensure a nation that is actively participating in sports. Secondly, and as highlighted above, despite acknowledgement by the department and sports experts over the past decade that comprehensive development of sports start at the school level, in the budget, this function is not given the prominence it deserves. Despite school sports being highlighted as a flagship program, this function is then given over to provinces to lead, and it is at the level of the provinces where most maladministration takes place, with budgets getting misspent most of the time. As the committee also noted, provincial officials in some provinces did not understand the department's model for sport-focused schools. The 648.7 million therefore allocated to the Active Nation program is therefore grossly inadequate to lead this country towards being competitive in sports. Thirdly, the bulk of it will be of better use if it can be channeled to federations with stringent conditions for use clearly spelled out. Sadly, this budget makes no mention of the urgent need to support formerly fringe sports such as women football. We have heard sad stories how some of our women heroes in football, such as Portia Modise, have been neglected by SAFA. When EFF wins local government elections in August, we will ensure that there are proper sporting facilities in every ward in the country. EFF-led municipalities will ensure that all schools have competitive sporting codes through municipal-sponsored tournaments focusing on schools to help develop the next layer of talent. EFF-led municipalities, particularly rural municipalities, will ensure that we eliminate the urban bias in sports development by ensuring that there are proper facilities for rural youth to partake in sports.
Your time is up.
I appeal.
What I stand,
appeal
why I stand here?
for your
What point?
order. I'm putting an order to the caucus
You-
of the ANC.
What are you standing on, honorable member?
You must listen to me to put the order.
What order?
That
Is it,
in Parliament?
sorry, honorable member, are you rising on a point of,
Yes.
you can't put order. You can rise on a point of order.
I'm rising, Chair, that we can't.
Honorable member, I'm correcting you so that you can continue. You cannot put order. You can rise on a point of order.
I'm rising because you can't even hear me now.
Yes, that's
because
why
I
I
want
am
to
saying
address
you can
They
raise.
are shouting.
Honorable, I'm talking to
ANC
you.
is not
Listen,
shouting.
honorable member. I am saying to order, honorable members. Honorable member, I am saying you cannot put order. You can stand on a point of order. Then I'll give you an opportunity to put your
I'm
point of
standing on a point of order.
That's better.
A point of order here. We're here to listen to the speaker and the speeches. But listen, I'm talking to you. They are heckling and shouting. Your ANC people, you are
Okay.
not intervening to the. We want to
No,
listen
honorable
to this
member,
crisis.
please sit
Intervene
down.
to this
No,
crisis.
no, 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 please sit down. Honorable Koza, your time is up.
EFF rejects this budget vote.
Honorable Malachi. Order, honorable members.
Chair. Ndikolebwa ngamanda mudzula chitulo wadzangano. I would like to dedicate this speech to Banyana Banyana who have qualified for their second successive Olympic Games, to the national women's sevens rugby team for winning their first tournament in Hong Kong, and to the female national cricket team for clinching their historic first series win against the West Indies. And most importantly, to all the female athletes who continue to excel in their respective codes, often with little resources. We draw inspiration from their victories in the midst of adversities to dismantle gender inequality in sport. Honorable members, it is important that we create an enabling environment for female athletes to prosper, because the reality is female athletes are underrepresented in the leadership of sports federations. They are too under-resourced to compete fairly against their counterparts from other parts of the world, and they are underpaid for representing their national teams, even when they keep on achieving better results. These challenges are real, therefore we shouldn't sugarcoat them. The reality is that the demographics of our sports teams, from the boardrooms to the playing fields, don't reflect the diversity of talent that is available in our rainbow nation. The board leadership of sports federations from SARU to Swimming South Africa often reflect 1960s rock and roll boy bands. It is even in instances where they can appoint private individuals to their independent committees, they still sideline female professionals. When we interrogated SARU about the fact that they don't have any woman as chair of their independent committees, their excuse was asina mali. When we repeatedly advised SAFA to bump up the cheese for Banyana Banyana match fees, their excuse also is asina mali. When we demand that Swimming South Africa provide answers on their gender equality program, their excuse also is asina mali. It is therefore a shame that 2 decades after Penny Haynes won 2 medals at the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games, that there will be no female swimmer representing South Africa in Rio. Honorable members, if we are serious about achieving genuine transformation, we should be determined to attain gender equality in sports. 22 years after our first democratic elections, it is very clear that the ANC government has done very little to redress the legacy of apartheid special planning, particularly with regards to the provision of sports facilities. Instead, we see AstroTurf football pitches at places like Nkandla where they are not even needed. The DA, as part of its founding values, upholds and cherishes diversity. We want all sporting codes to reflect all the people who call South Africa their home. We want this to be done through a sustained and rapid development of sporting infrastructure and grassroots development in those communities who still carry the burden of decades of underinvestment in sports facilities. Because we know that if every child is given an equal opportunity to pursue the code they are talented in, and they are given fair opportunities to compete and prove their excellence against their peers, every sports team in the country would reflect the diversity we have. The minister recently blamed the slow pace of transformation on sports federations, even banning them from holding major sporting events. But the question that must also be honestly asked is, what has the ANC government done to create opportunities for young black South Africans to play sport? The honest answer is very little has been done. And this is symbolic in the dysfunctional school sports system we have. And I'm glad the minister raised it, because according to the Department of Basic Education's 2015 National Education Infrastructure Management System, 9,900 public schools out of a total of 24,000 schools don't have a single sports facility. To put this in perspective, out of 1,700 schools, 700 public schools with sports facilities in Mpumalanga, only one has a rugby field. Only 14 have a swimming pool. Out of 1,200 public schools in the Free State that have sports facilities, only 36 have a rugby field and only 17 have swimming pools. But to make matters worse, 3,200 public schools in the Eastern Cape, in your home province, Chairperson, don't have a single sporting facility. 3,200 public schools, yes, Honorable Majodina, even though you are not allowed to participate. 3,200 public schools in KwaZulu-Natal don't have a single sports facility. This is your own Department of Basic Education saying this. In my home province of Limpopo, 1,200 public schools don't have a damn single sports facility. And this is quite important because the EPG report of 2013 and 2014, Honorable Minister, emphasizes the importance of sports facilities in communities and schools. So it is the ANC government that continues to deny millions of black youngsters to play sport in schools and in their communities. It is ANC premiers and mayors who take money to build and maintain school infrastructure and spend it on other services. That is why we've had to approach the Treasury to provide the 300 million that you're talking about. But what is said is that even this department, even this budget, despite its emphasis on school sport, is reducing the number of participants in the National Schools Championship by reducing the number of categories, which means that there are likely to be young kids who will never compete at the highest level because of the reduction of this number. What we need is a sustained effort of optimal talent identification so that we can identify athletes while they are young, provide them with the training they need, and they are managed to the highest level of sporting performance. Because if we do this well, with the right support and political will, and Minister, it doesn't help that you might be the one with political will. It needs to trickle down to the mayors, to the MCCs for service delivery down, so that we can deliver on this. Well, that explains why you don't know. I don't know what you're doing here. But with the right political will, Minister, we can achieve this. And for someone with publicly declared presidential ambitions, you will need this to kickstart your campaign. What we also need is a paradigm shift in sports leadership. We need a new generation of sports leaders and administrators, not blessers like the leadership, like the president and CEO of SASCOC, who can cruise in business class while athletes suffer. We need a new generation of sports leaders, unlike Danny Jordan, who won't diminish their roles to hobbies when they ought to account. The same ghost president of SAFA who has missed 3 critical in fact 2 meetings of FIFA since the release of the public indictment. We need a new generation of sports administrators who, unlike the CEO of SARU, at all times exude exemplary ethical leadership. We also need a new generation of sports politicians who are obsessed with fighting for the rights of our athletes rather than advancing their insatiable thirst for milking freebies from sports federations. And for my colleagues on the ANC committee, if you also care about the plight of athletes, turn down that dirty invitation from SASCOC to go on a 10-day junket to Rio. It will cost over 210,000 to get members of the committee to go on that trip. That can be better used supporting athletes. But in case you need a holiday to go to Rio for the Olympics, you will need it because you will actually need enough time to recover from the thumping that you will get from the 3rd of August at the national polls. But also, Honorable Minister, let us deal with the issue of academies. You see, academies need to have infrastructure and be equipped with skilled individuals to run them. But what we see on the ground, and what the committee saw when we went to Limpopo in the Mopani region, was a glorified gym. There was no electricity there, there was no water there. Equipment that had been given for over 9 months had been standing idly there. So we get this equipment that we never use because there's no correlation between what the department does and what the last layer of service delivery in local government does. And secondly, on the issue of facilities, we are mostly being let down by provinces. And I hope, Minister, when you meet MINMEC and also you meet with them, you emphasize that, because it doesn't help
Honorable
to have that
Malachi,
and not trickle
your
down.
time is expired.
Thank you.
Honorable Ralukoma. Honorable Ralcom.
Chairperson of the session, Minister of Sport and Recreation,
Order, honorable
Fikile
members.
Balula, Deputy Minister of Sport and Recreation, Honorable Gerrit Oosthuizen, other ministers and deputy ministers present, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Beauty Dulani, my colleagues in the committee, honorable members. I'm going to start by clarifying some of the lies that have been paraded in the media. The first issue is that Honorable Malachi might do very well on gender by starting with the DA benches. Because at the moment, because you must lead by example. The second point that, and I don't understand why do you ignore scientific findings of EPG. The scientific findings of EPG is that SAFA has been cleared, has met their targets. Your preoccupation with SAFA because your bosses tell you what to do, that don't touch SARU. So start with your DA benches
Honorable
because they are not
Ralcoma.
transformed.
Honorable Ralcoma. Oh, please wait. Honorable Malachi.
Honorable Chair, I don't like doing this because I've got lots of respect for my elders.
Why are you standing?
I think it's out of order.
But what on
It's a point
why
of
are you
order,
standing?
On a point of order.
Okay.
That he's misleading the House. If he's not used to young black people standing for their own and believing their ideas, he mustn't mislead the House. Nobody tells me what to say. He must get used to that. That's why he's a backbencher for life.
Down. Honorable Ralcoma, please continue. Please continue.
I'm also surprised why you did not raise FIFA World Cup hosting, because you have opened a case around that issue. We don't understand why do you want to speak on behalf of United States government. That has not gone out to formally inform the South African government on their investigation and possibly to get assistance from our own government. So far, it would appear that South Africa is the only country in Africa to have successfully hosted the FIFA World Cup, to have been alleged to have hosted through corruption. What about Germany, which defeated us by 1 vote in 2006? The third area that we want to clear is the issues around that the department is wasting money by hosting awards for athletes. Our view as the ANC, we think that it is important for athletes and other sporting people to be incentivized so that they can perform more. On the issue of sponsorship by SASCOC, we don't understand who took this matter to the media. Our understanding is that there was an invitation, and in terms of the procedure, invitations will be submitted to the chairperson, the House Chair, and it will be up to the House Chair to either agree or disagree. And for your information, the House Chair has declined that invitation. So It is not true. It is not true that the honorable members of the ANC have approached SASCOC requesting for the trip. But our issue is who takes issues that we discuss in the committee to the media. Now, I'm really disappointed that both Honorable Malachi, Honorable Filtan, all of them are being apologetic for the 4 federations that did not meet their own targets that have been agreed with the minister. And then they come here, they are apologizing. What must we do if federations that have been part of developing the plan, the National Sport and Recreation Plan, agree that there must be EPG Commission, agree that